the part of your sentence, which is breakfast. What would you like for breakfast? So it will take time. So sometimes how you communicate, and family members might have to show a picture. Say, oh, stand for cereal, do you want toast? Then they can then point to respond appropriately for you to be able to know what the next action is. This common type of dementia is vascular dementia, and this occurs when someone's had a stroke, and you can see that there's a stroke physically because of the physical changes that you see in that person, because they cannot maybe use certain part of their body, maybe it's their arm or their leg or the other arm or the leg, or they're having aphasia and speech problems. But they can then continue to have other strokes that you don't see because it's not major, and that can also cause a defect in their memory. They start having problems with communication more, and then they need more help. So that is also another part of dementia that we know of, which is most common with Afro-Caribbean communities, because we tend to have more people with strokes in that community due to cardiovascular risks, due to having high blood pressure. So that is most common amongst us. Then the fact that someone has a particular dementia, they can also have what we call a MSA. That means they have a stroke, but when they have the brain scan, they can see that a pattern is also showing, which is like the Alzheimer's disease, where there are particular, brain cells that they can see that there is so sporadic in the brain, where the brain cells are already being compromised and damaged. So they could say, oh, this person has a mixed type of dementia, which is vascular as well as Alzheimer's. Then we have other milder, wilder, different kind of dementia that is not popular, like Lewy body dementia, which is very similar to Parkinsonisms, frontotemporal dementia, which is also particularly known for, yeah, for a dementia that takes place in the frontal part of the brain, and those slightly different in terms of how they understand what's going on, because that frontal part governs your social skills, your language, and those are changes that people see. How that person behave, how they engage with family members starts to change. Other than before you start noticing a marked difference in the memory. So, Huntington disease, those HIV also going to have a form of dementia. There's so many different types. So people want to know a diagnosis because it makes them understand. So, other types that I could also remember is things like those who are, so sorry. Okay, so all right. Is that someone wanted to ask a question? Oh, okay. Like Korsakoff syndrome, which is for those who are alcoholic, they also develop a form of dementia because of alcohol fries the brain cells. But when they stop drinking, it stops there, because that is a causative effect. But that doesn't mean they can't go on to have a vascular dementia, that stroke, or Alzheimer's disease. There's also something that people sometimes ask us when they come to our services, when they are very mild and we kind of worry that maybe this person might have dementia. Oh, let's go to the GP, let's do a referral. And they come to the memory service to get a diagnosis. It could take a few months because, to get appointments, to get the brain scans done takes time. There might be a waiting list. And also the fact that sometimes there could be other conditions causing the person to appear as if they have a memory loss. So they would want the GP to do the physical test first, the physical health, the blood test, to rule out any sort of vitamin deficiency, vitamin D deficiency that could be causing the person to appear to have a memory problem. When those physical symptoms have been ruled out and the GP is confirmed that this is not physical, this person seems to have some sort of memory problem, and they now come to us, but they score very high in when they have the mini-mental state examinations, and when they do the brain scan, is not really showing, fully that, oh, there's brain cells that are being damaged, because it's still very early. So what the consultants in the team would then say is this person has what we call a mild cognitive impairment. We do not see this as a diagnosis of dementia because it is very mild, and people can just have a mild cognitive impairment all their lives. But it can then progress if there's other conditions that causes them to have another form of dementia, in which case they can then come back a year or two and get a proper diagnosis. So we tend to just encourage families to support people with mild cognitive impairment and just, see how things go over the years, which can be a bit frustrating. But some people just have it mild and it doesn't progress. So when I do say progression, what do we mean by progression? Can I just have something in the chat? What do we mean by dementia as a progressive illness? The trajectory of the disease. Okay, trajectory in what sense, please? For those who might not know what we mean by that. Any comment on by progression of that disease? It takes time. It gets worse. It gets worse. It will advance. It could take a while, years, because people can mask very well, especially if they're well supported at home, if they're with their family, if they're taking their medication, if they have all the that they are well looked after, they don't miss their medication, they are eating well, they are hydrating well, they're having good elimination, they're not constipated. You can, have a plateau where you almost feel that maybe, everything seems so settled for so long, there's no problem, but it's the type of dementia that they have and the support that they have. So when we look at people advancing in their dementia, no two people will advance at the same time. Advancement will depend on the type of dementia that they have and also on what is other health comorbidities that they might have. What I mean by health comorbidities is, as I've said, someone might have asthma, someone might have diabetes and not taking their medication will make that dementia much worse. Someone might have glaucoma and they're not using the eye drops, but they're having falls and bumping into things, or not cooking safely and having, food poison and ending up in hospital. So there's always going to be different things that family needs to look out for when they're supporting this person. And then we find that as it progresses, this person starts to lose their skills, the daily living skills that we take for granted. And you can say maybe last 1 year ago, 6 months ago, the person with the dementia was able to, get dressed, their hygienic status was well, they were changing their clothes, they were doing their laundry, they were eating, they were able to go to the shops, they were able to take their money out, they were very independent. And then maybe gradually you find that they don't want to go out, or you go to visit them, they've kept some food under the bed, or they've kept the food that's spoiled in the fridge, it's gone by the sell by date, or they've left it and it's not good to eat, but the food is good, it's there in the fridge, clothes are not being washed. They probably sometimes are dressed inappropriately for the weather, or they want to go out, when it's raining, and you're like, you can't go out this time, it's raining. Also, if I get wet, so what? They tend to be very disinhibited in their language use. Some, get very angry easily, and you have all this going on that the family would then need more help. So when you now say that, okay, the doctors are there, the GPs are there, the GPs are mostly concerned with the physical causes. What's going on? Do you have a cold? Is your leg paining you? Do you need paracetamol? Do you have a headache? For the daily aspects of looking after that person, the burden is on the family caregivers and maybe the informal carers or paid carers that are working with the person. You notice a lot of changes, the moods, starts changing. Sometimes they get very angry, they get very irritable, the hearing problem might start changing, they might not be hearing very well, which is also part of aging, but sometimes it gets worse when they have dementia because then everything you are saying, they're not hearing you and they feel that you're shouting at them. They don't want to use their hearing aids. So these are different things that you find that people do experience over time. And it's not all about, oh, going to the GP. What can medication do when someone's upset? You can't just be giving them medication because they're still human being. They can be upset, they can be angry. If they be physical or they are aggressive, you need to know what's causing that aggression. You need to understand that this person probably don't understand what is going on. Maybe they misunderstood you, or the request you put to them, they are not able to carry out that activity anymore, and they rather give you an excuse to say, oh, I had a bath yesterday when you were out, because it's easier to give you an excuse than to say, actually, I didn't have a bath, or I got to the bathroom. Instead of using the toothpaste, I end up using the soap on my somewhere else. So I use the toothpaste on my head. I thought I'm doing a shampoo. So there's so many things that happen along the way that the family members notice that can cause a lot of distress. So what do? We do what we call an holistic assessment, which is, going to do a patient visit, talk to the family, encourage the family to be there. If the family cannot be there, we still see the patient, because obviously we need to see how they present, the domestic arrangements. Is there someone, in the home, to make sure that they're well looked after? Are they eating well? So that would be like a general discussion. We wouldn't distress them by doing testing their memory and all that. That is not, there's a dementia, so you don't need to be testing the memory. You don't want to distress them. And then whatever you feel that they might need, you might suggest. Obviously, they will decline because they don't have that insight to know that they do need those help. Then you support the family member to encourage them, so you can try and get them from services and help. So it's not, I'm not saying one person cannot look after someone with dementia, but it can be very taxing, and it's a 24 hours sort of work. So it can be very, very distressing. And most family carers experience what we call carer stress, because they might sleep at different times. They might doze a lot in the afternoon, then they're more active in the evening. They might get confused about day and night, which we call a day and night reversal. They want to go out in the evening, they want to stroll. You're like, it's 8, 9, 10. Nobody wants to be out about in that time. It's too late. Of course, I've always gone out, because in their memory, they've always gone out anytime, but this is not the right time to go out. So it takes understanding and patience to be able to give them that same kind of structure that will make them feel valued as human beings when they're not able to do those activities on their own. So that is how dementia is. There's no one person is the same. No matter if they're both with Alzheimer's disease, they can never progress at the same time. They're not going to have the same symptoms. They may have similar issues with their memory, but we see each person as an individual. And as an individual, it means you know that person, you know what they like, you know what they don't like, you know what foods they like, you know what is their regular habit, you know what is their lifestyles before they had the dementia. How do you maintain that in the dementia? How do you improve on communication with them? How do you try and maintain contact with family members and loved ones, initiate on their own? How are they going to keep in contact with their friends? Quality of life, well-being, which is very important, because some friends will stop visiting because this person is not communicating very well. Maybe they're talking about things in the past. Maybe they're very repetitive. Maybe they're upset because I said something like this. And that goes on and on. So they start losing the quality of friends that they would have had. Maybe a woman's catch up, they don't put the dates in their diary, they miss those appointments. So the friends gradually stop contacting them, they start withdrawing, and they start becoming isolated. So this is when family members will need to look at activities, maybe bring board games in, maybe look at things that can encourage a bit of stimulation, physical support, going out for walks, encouraging mobility, so that because this person is not going to be able to initiate those things by themselves. So these are the difficulties that family members always face when they're looking after someone with dementia. And we try to encourage them not to be isolated, because as the person with dementia is going through this, I can assure you that the family members equally are going through similar things, seeing the change in this person. Um, this family member that has always been in control, that's always been well dressed, that's always been well mannered, is becoming rude. They can shout, they can embarrass people, family members when visitors come because they can't engage. So it's embarrassing for them. So they rather just stay in a quiet place. They're becoming more isolated. So these are things that we hope people can understand by knowing that this person is not being difficult. It is what is going wrong. There is something going on in the brain. It is that is affecting them, that you're seeing all these changes in their behavior, even to the fact that you know that they love eating a particular meal and you put that in front of them. They say, what is this? What is, I didn't ask for this. I don't eat this. And you're like, Mom, this is your favorite meal. Dad, this is, I cooked this specially for you. Ah, no, just give me beans on toast or give me some, these are the challenges that they face, which can be quite daunting. Uh, um, so yeah, yeah, I think I don't want to go too much into understanding dementia, looking after someone, knowing that every person is an individual, looking at how you can replicate what would be a quality of life for them as the dementia progresses. Obviously, when it becomes very advanced and they now need more support from palliative care team or the nurses, or they are not even mobilizing anymore, they are bedbound, they need to be turned every 4 hours, they need to be swallowing properly. They need to be into oral solution by the GP. So or by the doctors. All this starts to be so important to understand, and not to wait, until you're really, really struggling to be able to know that, okay, mom used to be able to eat chicken and beef, but now she's leaving the chicken, she's leaving the beef. Mom, what's going on? She might be having swallowing reflexes because it's the brain that governs how we eat. It governs everything, how we move. It's the brain. So if she's not able to swallow, she might need you to texturize the food, and make sure that the food is very soft and it's hard to swallow. And sometimes you even have to liquidize the food. I mean, when we liquidize food, we forget that it changes the texture and the taste. How do we make it more flavorsome? All this is how people need to understand that, now when I'm giving mom liquidized beans, she might not like it. Let me put a little bit more spice, make it a bit more tasty, because the taste bud starts to change. They're not enjoying the food anymore. So you need to look at how to make it appetizing for them to be able to get the nutrition and the hydration. And if they're like coughing when they're eating, you know that there's something wrong with the throat. GP, doctor, what do we do? Oh, you have to thicken the liquid because they're not able to swallow anymore. So you've got to make sure that when you give them liquid, it's like a bit of a yogurty liquid. You sort of thicken the juice, and so that it's easy to swallow, so they don't keep having aspiration pneumonia. So these are all the changes that family members see, that the person is not able to even say what's wrong. You just find that they're changing in habits as you go along, and you have to be doing more to support, to have patience, to have an understanding, and gradually to understand that person, so that even when they're not talking, you know what the routine is, and they also trust that you're doing what the routine is for them. Yeah, I think that's the gist of what dementia is, and I'm happy to take some questions. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope I've not frightened anybody. When I do get family members who are very distressed by diagnosis because they've noticed changes over the years, and maybe mom and dad has been very reluctant to come out and see the doctors, it's been very painful process. The doctors had to come to the house and do the assessment. Mom's refusing to do MRI scans or CT scans, which we then say that doesn't end in there. They do not have to do the scan. It doesn't change dementia. We will still see those changes. It's just that you won't have a, a subtype of a diagnosis of the type of dementia your mom has. But if the dementia is not from a stroke, they can still have. We have 4 licensed dementia medication that people can have, and they can have it right to the end, to support them, so that all those four medication will do is just to slow down the progression. It's not a cure. And people still find that very difficult. Oh, she's on this donepezil medication. She's on 10 milligram. Oh, can we increase it to 20 milligram? No, that's the maximum dose for that medication. It can be increased, but we can add another one for those with advanced dementia, and we can see if that would work. We need to do this test. We need to do physical tests. We need to do kidney test functions. We need to check that this person doesn't have an history of seizures. So it's quite a specialist team that makes sure that we ensure the quality of life for that person and well-being continues right to the end. So yeah, I think it is a very emotional um, time for families after diagnosis, and we give them time. They know that we are there. We see the patient once a year. We do a full holistic review. If they have concerns, they can still call, and we will support. It's just that it can be a very, very long caring role. And it's also important to understand that carers also might have other family members they're caring for. They might have disabled children they're caring for. They might have work. They might be working full-time or part-time. So there is a lot to juggle. So, help is always at hand, and it might not be the kind of help they can afford or the kind of help they even want. So, yeah, it is a very difficult subject. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I've taken too much time, and I'll take some questions if that's okay, Joy.
Thank you for this impactful talk. Thank you so much. Um, Me especially, I don't know most of the things we were talking about, and I just learned a lot of things. Thank you. Do you have questions before we move to the next speaker? Okay, someone is raising her hand.
Mm.
You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Sorry, I just wanted to say well done to Remy for the insights. It's a topic I'm quite passionate on. I'm doing a postgraduate in psychosocial dementia. That's why you can see all my yeah. So it's one area I don't have the clinical background, but I have a very good insight into pharmacological and non-pharmacological interventions and Demoquel and all that. So well done. You've just
Thank
given me
you.
some tips for my coursework. I've just concluded it. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have any other question? Sorry, if you have a question, you can just raise your hand. Sorry, do you have a question? If we don't, we can move to the next speaker.
Sorry, I have a question. I want to ask how would you know when you think you have dementia, or how is it when you go, like, you are in one place, you go to your wardrobe, you are thinking, oh, what did I want to take from here? Or you go to the fridge, then you open it and you don't remember. Is it things like that?
All I can say is some people have memory problems, and that's the way they've always been. But the only way you can know dementia is to get it checked out, because if a doctor were able to talk to you and you're able to say what your concerns are, they'll do the physical test, they'll do the blood test. Sometimes it could be a lack of, vitamin deficiency. They might then try and deal with that lack and give you maybe vitamin D, or there might be something that is not quite right that could cause you to appear to be a bit forgetful. If someone's got like a history of depression, also that also can mask some memory problems. So they will try and review the medication and also see if that person would want to do a brain scan. But for But because it's something that it could take up to 6 months or more for them to properly diagnose after the person's had a brain scan. So with time, you'll notice the changes, but sometimes it's just that basic that there's something physically wrong. Even some people who have like older adults with urinary tract infection, the way they will present is shocking. You won't believe that it's just UTI, because they will be very spaced out, they'll be very agitated, they won't want to eat, they can't sleep well. And just a urine test will show that, oh, this person has an infection. People with kidney problems, so there's so many ways that one can struggle with a memory, but the doctors will have to see what it is. And then if that is now settled and there's still issues with the memory, or the person is very forgetful or not remembering, things that they need to do, missing appointments, this will be flagged up by the family and you would want to check that again. So it's not just being I mean, we do it. You come somewhere, you're going to get something, you've forgotten it. Then you go outside, you come back, you remember. I think this is just part of normal us being, multitasking and rushing around and then I put something, I can't remember where I put it. It's more than that. It's something that would continue. It's not going to be the one-off sessions of being forgetful. And with time, you would also feel that you are using more, the family member or that person will be using more cues to maintain their quality of life and well-being. So it's more than that. For those who have had issues like that, it'll come back. You remember the name. You remember what you were going to get in the freezer or in the cupboard. You track your steps and you come back and it'll come to you. But with dementia, you would have noticed over time that there's more struggles in other areas that starts to show.
All right, we have someone else raising up her hand. Sister Franca.
Hello. Hi everyone.
Good evening.
Let me well done for a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
My question is, when a much younger person gets dementia and they have a career or a job, how does that? Is there any support to help them? Because I guess they'll probably have to stop working. But what kind of support does dementia? I mean, do they get from the NHS or from somebody like you?
We don't. It is quite specific, Franca. We don't support those with young onset dementia. That's the type of dementia for those who are under 65, because their needs are very different from those who are over 65. And in terms of benefits and everything, it's quite specific here. So our patients are 65 and above. But for those who are under 65, they are normally supported by the University College London, because their dementia can be quite aggressive because of their young age, younger, and there could be an history of what we call familial dementia. That means there could be a family history, genetic. So they might need to be counseled by other family, by professionals, University College London, to see if there's a familial gene in the family that would want to check what is going on. Is this a family history? And at that age, some of them are still working. Some are still at work. So we tend the consultants that will tend to encourage them to have discussions at work so they can be supported. They can still work. They need to be supported. And maybe as things start to get difficult, the employers would adjust their working schedule so that they're not too stressed about it, or they might be doing part-time because they might have young adults in university, they might have mortgages. So it's very, very sensitive at that age range. And people do have dementia under 65. We've had a case, that I know of who was like 52, 53, and, there was a 10-year-old son that she had, so there has to be a more specific kind of support from them, but from other departments. We can't do both. It's impossible. You don't have the manpower, you don't have the resources. So a separate team deals with those who are 65 and under. Once they're 65 and over, then they can come to our team. So they'll be put by neurologists at the University College London, and they will then support them because it can be very, very aggressive.
All right.
And the family, the wives, will need a lot of support because these people are going to be struggling. They have to look at employment issues, how they can be supported at work for as long as possible. And
Mm.
if they are driving as well, they will have to inform DVLA and have a retest to give them a 1 year license to make sure they are safe to be on the road. It's by law. They have to inform the DVLA. If they don't, then the consultant will inform the DVLA and they'll get a letter to submit their license and come for a reassessment. So it is, yeah, it's very different.
Okay.
We
Thank
have
you.
Thank you.
we have another person. Please, you can unmute
Yes.
yourself.
Hi. Yeah. Hi. It's Christine. Hi, Remy.
Hi,
Hello.
Christine.
Oh, thank you so much. That was excellent. Very insightful. And I wish I knew someone like you when my family was going through dementia with my mom. Even though my mom had a mild form of dementia, it was still quite hard for us to accept, the fact that
Yeah.
she was someone who was so full of life, very sharp, witty, the whole lot, and then to suddenly see her become quiet and all the symptoms you mentioned. But anyway, so I just wanted to find out what sort of ages, from your experience, so basically I've got two questions. The first one is, what age does dementia start from what you've seen? Is there an age range, or it just comes, everybody's different? How does it work?
There's no age
Right.
range. That's why you have the under 65 and the over 65.
Ah,
Any, like, it's not common, at the younger ages anyway at all. But you can have, like, if someone's had a accident and there's a brain injury,
mm,
definitely there'll be some memory problems, or there's been an accident and they've had brain damage of some sort. The memory also will be impacted. So there's no strict age for anyone to develop dementia, or if someone's a young adult constantly drinking alcoholism, who's drinking very hard liquor, if
mm,
that, yeah, they would start having problems with their memory. Those with HIV/AIDS progress to have problems, in their memory as well, if the AIDS progresses into the brain. So you find that they have, memory problems. So
mm,
yeah, there's no fixed age, but we've had people who's 22 when I was in another charity, due to having had a bad car accident, and even though they didn't have problems with mobility, but the memory was severely impacted, was very much impacted. Yeah, so the impact is, we know that anything that goes to the brain
yeah.
would also cause some sort of memory problem, and the brain governs everything.
Okay. Okay, thanks for that. My second question is, what is there any form of like preventative measures you can put in place if someone kind of realizes they're getting little symptoms? What would you advise? Is there a sort of medication they can take, or I don't know, maybe exercise that they can, I don't know, any psychology, is it neurology? What do you call it? Is it neurology?
It's
Does it fall under
neurological.
neurology?
It falls under neurology.
Neurology, yeah.
But
So what would you advise somebody who, okay, I put my hand up. I feel
okay.
like I'm beginning to forget things, and I'm worried, obviously, because of the experience with my mother. So,
Yeah.
um, you
What
know,
it's 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 important to know that, can dementia be prevented?
mm,
It's like how long is a piece of string? We do say that, being active does help.
okay,
It's not usually possible to say for sure why a particular person developed dementia, because there's
yeah,
so many gamut of reasons, that the risk factors are huge, as I've
mm,
mentioned before. But, it's generally said that, look after your heart. A healthy heart means that, at least you minimize your risk of cardiovascular, symptoms of having a heart attack or a stroke. Healthy living is also advertised not to smoke, to have a bit of physical exercise, because that would help to avoid narrowing of the arteries, which is also a particular risk for Alzheimer's disease and vascular dementias. So they do say healthy lifestyle, what is good for your heart is also good for your brain, to help to reduce these risks. So brisk walking, maintaining a healthy weight. Those with diabetes also maintaining their blood sugar levels also help, because if you're not controlling it, that also affect your memory. And drinking in moderation also help to reduce the risk of dementia. So, high blood pressure, cholesterol to be kept under control. Even those with depression also have some symptoms of memory problem, because you're not yourself, you're not thinking properly, you are very weighed down with every little thought, you're very forgetful about things you need to do, you lack motivation, you become quite apathetic about things, not taking care of yourself. So yeah, we say balanced diet is also good, to have a low saturated fat, avoid too much salt as well. We know about that.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like healthy lifestyle choices also will reduce the risk of other serious conditions like stroke, heart disease, cancer. So yeah, it's all about healthy living.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much.
We know this, but telling someone who's been smoking not to smoke, they say they've been smoking all their lives and there's nothing wrong. So this
Mm,
dementia is not going to stop me smoking. So
mm,
just try and
true.
encourage, can you at least reduce it a bit? So yeah.
Mm,
So this and also being active, with the brain, reading, social stimulation also helps when someone is more isolated and they're not talking to people and
yeah.
they're just on their own and the carers just come for 20, 30 minutes and go. They're not going to be that socially active when they're with other people. That's why we encourage people to go out, meet family members, or even go to like a club or a luncheon club, even if it's just once or twice a week, because definitely they're interacting with people. What we then say, I remember when we do trainings and everything, is you either use it or you lose it.
Mm,
You use that brain. You do puzzle, you do reading, encourage people to continue their spirituality. Yeah. So that is, visiting friends, things that every other normal person will do. But
right.
because to the logistics of even doing it, can you imagine what it is for someone who has a memory problem to make a cup of tea? Got to you've got to look at the kettle. Is it the right kettle in your mind? Because if your mind is really way back and you are conflicting about time and day, you are looking for a kettle to put on the stove. You find we've had instances of when they put the electric kettle and put that on the cooker, because that's where they're thinking of, that's how I'm going to make my tea. Or they put the tea bag in the kettle and plug it, because that's how we used to make the tea in those days. Because the memory can go far back, because those are the ones that they now have. The short-term memory is the first they start struggling with. So that keeps happening to them. So we have to understand that, where that memory is very strong for them, especially when they're advancing and they're very agitated. What is going on at that time for them? Maybe that's the time when they're very active in their lives, they can't sleep. Oh, they've got kids, they've got them to take to school. Where the children, they're going to have to make dinner. We're going to make the food. You're like, there's no children. I'm the child now, I'm the adult. But they're looking for the children because that's where their memory is most active in their mind. That is how they feel. They don't know that, oh, that's all in the past. My mind is in the past. I don't have any child I'm looking after now. So this is part of looking at how that dementia affects that person and trying to give them that quality of life to make it meaningful to them, because they cannot make any changes to what's going on around them, but it's you that them can come into that world for them and make changes. And there's a lot of technologies that also help to make people be independent in their own homes. So yeah, it's a minefield.
Excellent. Thank you so
Um,
much.
Thank you so much for the sake of time. We need to move to the next speaker, please,
Thank you,
because
Joy. Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you so much, Sister Remy. Thank you
My
for
pleasure.
this impactful talk. So Our next topic for today is financial protection and wealth creation. So we'll be inviting Sister Sekinat Adams to come on board and speak to us.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone?
Good evening.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry. My name is Sakina Adams, and I'm a protection advisor based in the UK. Thank you so much for inviting me tonight to speak, and thank you for this platform that you've created for women of influence. Truly an honor to be here.
You're welcome.
Also, thanks for our last speaker. Um, uh, that topic itself, it's, I think there's so much to it. Although you did a wonderful job at,
Sorry, Sister
trying
Sekinat.
to
I,
wrap
I don't know.
everything
Sorry,
within the space.
Sister Sekinat. Hello? Sister Sekinat. I think your network is, the connection is breaking.
But if you want to do like sure that you can, because can you hear me?
The
Can you
network,
hear me?
the network is breaking, so we barely hear what
Hello?
you're saying.
Is the is the network still breaking?
We can hear you now.
Is the network still breaking?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So sorry about that. I didn't realize. Apologies, but I hope you were able to catch up with some things I'll say. Well, I was just saying that obviously, you know, wherever the illness is, God, as to when some we as a protection advisor of ones, I'm sure amongst ourselves, if I want to start asking everybody, individually, if you know somebody that's actually died within the space of, few months down the line, or had, heart attack, stroke, or had a surgery, even if it doesn't come to your mind immediately, if you give it like 5-10 minutes, you're able to say, oh yeah, that's true. Maybe my neighbor or someone at work, or wherever it is that you can remember, or maybe even someone you saw on social media that is very young, not necessarily old. So these are things that happens in life. There's no guarantee as to when anything's going to happen, and that is why we advise our people to protect their needs, to protect their loved ones, to protect their finances, to protect everything that they can. With life itself, we know life is not guaranteed. So when people refuse to protect what something to me, go for me is Hello? Hello?
Hello. We can hear you now, but it was breaking, Sister Sakina. Breaking.
I can't hear a thing. I don't know how
Yeah,
you're hearing her.
can you hear me
I
now?
can't.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, but it's breaking.
Is this any better? Is this any better? Hello?
For me, it's okay, but I don't know
It's
other
okay.
people.
Okay, all right. So just let me know once. Just let me know if you can hear me again, please. So what I was trying to say, in essence, is, when people sometimes we don't know. Okay, we have a certain job now, and we're doing very well at our job. We are physically able to complete our task at work. But then, if something happens and we are unable to carry out our daily tasks at work, we're unable to work due to sickness or accident, a lot of times we are at the mercy of, if you're based in the UK, you're at mercy of benefits going on welfare. Now, for people that have no recourse to public funds, what's going to happen? Even if you have recourse to public funds, I don't know how much support they'll be able to give that will enable you pay your rent, take care of yourself and your family, and everything is going well. And also, to still maintain a kind of life, a certain life that you're living. But obviously, if you have a protection in place that's protecting your finance, if anything happens and you're unable to work with sickness or accident, then you'll be able to get some payments in place that will help you maintain that lifestyle you're living. Say, for example, your kids are already in private school, you're driving a certain car, you have your mortgage and stuff like that, and something happens that doesn't enable you to carry out your job. So what the company would then do is they would pay you your financial protection. Obviously, will pay you a certain amount of money, which you can still keep paying up your kids' school fees, your mortgages and stuff. But if you don't have that in place, then you have to go on welfare. I don't obviously Obviously, welfare wouldn't take care of that. I'm sure we all know this. They always take care of your basic needs alone, which is maybe they have to, pay your rent and then pay your. I don't think they will pay your mortgages. I don't think they will pay your private school for your kids. No, they would rather you just go to government school or something, you know. And same thing for if you're unable to work because maybe you have any critical illness like heart attack, stroke, or major organ transplant, and that time you're unable to work, what's going to happen? I think what also it's very very important is about the life itself. If someone should lose their loved ones, the last thing they want to think about is to keep on going to work at that time, because you're going through this bereavement period, and then your boss is still calling your work like, yeah, sorry, we're sorry for your loss, but we'll give you maybe like a week or 2 weeks max for you to go through that period, but then you have to come back to work. So rather than you just, bury your loss, in silence, just going through whatever pain you're going through in the comfort of your home because you have something to support you. But if you don't have anything to support you, what's going to happen? Then you have to go out to work. You have to go out to go and maintain, to keep up, paying your rent or what have you. So that means that even though you are going through the pain in your house, you are going through this bereavement period, you still have to go and work, earn a living to take care of. Maybe if it's a single parent, you have to take care of your children because the partner already just died or something. But then if the partner has actually put something in place, or you've put something in place for yourself, then that means that if anything happens, then the last thing you want to think about that time is to go and look for work, because that's when you're just in your house, taking care of your needs, because you have all the finances that will support you. And then also you might not even have to go back to that work again because you have enough to take care of you at least for a long period of time, and also for your children as well. So and this is why I said that the wealth creation part of it is not so much as you having a lot of money to invest in. It's about having the little you can afford to be able to plan ahead for eventualities. You see, if you look at maybe like for investment itself, I'm sure that you'll be looking at maybe, I don't know, thousands of pounds or whatever it is, maybe hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds, be able to put a reasonable investment in place. And I don't know how many people can afford that, in this time and age. But if you're able to put in, I don't know, maybe like what, 5-10 pounds, to put a protection in place that can help you, and then you're guaranteed of receiving hundreds of thousands of pounds that can help you, or it can help your family. I think, to me, that's a no-brainer, because that wealth you're creating itself. Sometimes I even have ended up just spending like maybe 5-10 pounds, and you're meant to receive like 100,000 pounds, for example. To me, that's like you even just, you're just doing 419 to them in a way, because you really just paid like how much and you're receiving so much. But yeah, that is what the protection itself is about. It doesn't matter how soon or how early you can claim. It's protecting you for the period that you've signed up for. So the in a nutshell, why I just believe that because of my line of work, I've met with a lot of people that, especially people from my background, that feel like, oh, don't worry, nothing's going to happen to me. Especially we that we're very, very religious. In Jesus' name, in the name of Allah, nothing's going to happen. I'm okay. Don't worry, we'll talk about it later. Something, something, something. And then next time, you just hear that, that said I spoke to you that time. She's dead. Why? What happened? She just died. I'm like, But she just planned a date that she was going to have a protection in place. Even someone that, there's a story of someone that was told that I had a date in mind to do it. I had an agreement with an advisor to sign up, and then died before then. Somebody had an injury as well before the date they agreed they're going to sign up. But if they signed up before then, they'll be able to make a claim that would help them and their family and their loved ones. We love our children so much. We love our husbands and our wives so much. We'll buy McDonald's for our children, maybe like £6 or £7 or something for a Big Mac. But we can't put that £6-7 into a policy that will help them in the month. We can't put that in place for them that will help them and give them, hundreds of thousands of pounds. But you rather use that to give them McDonald's, a one-off McDonald's that will just fill their belly at that time. And that's it. That's the end of it. Some of us will go to parties, we'll spray money and things like that. But that money, we wouldn't be able to use that to be able to take care of our loved ones. It's best if we say we truly love them, then we should think of caring for them, not just on here while we are here, but if anything happens as well. And just following up from our earlier topic, it's just about things can happen to anybody anytime. It's not, most of these illnesses, they don't give you any warning before they come. This is the life we live in. You don't get any warning that, okay, cancer will just knock on the door, like, okay, I'm coming, my name is cancer, I'm coming now. No, it just happens, and then they just diagnose it. The doctor will just say, oh, sorry, you've got this, and then chemotherapy starts. I'm like, when, why, how? He's so young, she's so young, but it happens. That's life. Statistics actually shows that 1 in 3 will be having cancer in the UK. That's even frightening in itself, because we don't know who that one will be in that 3. We always just say, God forbid, it's not going to be my portion. But yeah, yes. It's just like we always say that we all want to die. We want to go to, sorry. We all want to see Jesus. We all want to see God. We are all waiting for judgment day. But we don't want to die. I'm like, how do you want to now go to heaven when you don't want to die? I don't understand the logic. So definitely, you should have a back of mind, you're going to die. And how are you planning for this death? For funeral cost in itself in the UK, I think it's about £4,000 to £5,000. But what some families will do is they wouldn't even have anything in place. Now, when the person now dies, be it young or old, they'll now start doing GoFundMe. Why make a mockery of your death when you can protect your death in dignity? Sometimes, even some people would say, if they die in Nigeria, they'll say, they should bring their corpse back to the UK because of the protection they have in place, because that money in itself will be able to help do that. Even sometimes when they're in the UK, they'll use that fund to be able to take them back to Nigeria, to bury them in Nigeria. That's because they have that finances already in place for that to happen. But somebody that does not have that to have that in place, what's going to happen? They'll just bury them, however. Maybe the church or the mosque come together and raise some money for you, and then, and that happens. And plus, you are putting your loved ones in debt. So I just feel like we all should be more or less think deeply as to we are living this life, we're doing fine, we are ill and healthy now, we're doing okay, we're wearing our, ashebi gele, looking, doing our makeup and stuff, looking fine, speaking well, eating good food, exercising, going to the gym, living a healthy life. But then we should also expect the unexpected, that anything can happen. Now, if that happens, and that can be a life changer, that can change a very, very good looking, handsome, or beautiful young person to change their look totally. You're like, are you sure that person is that age? Anything can happen at any time. Nobody prays for anything bad to happen, but this is the life we live in. So I just want to implore each and every one of us to think deeply about this. Think deeply about what we are doing to protect ourselves. We should stop this in Jesus' name, or in Allah's name. Nothing's going to happen. We are all people of faith. But I'm sure we all know people of faith, be Afars or pastors, that have died young. We're all people of faith. We believe in God. Nothing's going to happen. But then, this life in itself is a test. We are people of faith, but still, even the faith wants us to be wise in our decisions. So we should all think about what we can do. If you loved your loved ones, like you truly say you do, think of how best to help protect them, even yourself, if anything happens, rather than wait on the government to take care of your needs. And I think I would just rather stop here so that I just, because I'm conscious of the fact that we have another speaker speaking. So if I have any question, I'll be able to take them on now, or unless you want the next speaker to speak. But yeah, that's all for now. I'll just stop there. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sister Sekinet. Do we have question? Please, you can raise up your hand before we bring in the last speaker for the day. Any question? Since no question, no one is raising hand. Okay, let's move to the last speaker for the day since no question. And perhaps maybe you remember what you want to say, you can just drop it in the comment section. The last speaker will be talking about understanding the credit system to raise mortgage and business finance. So let's welcome Brother Sam.
Good evening, everyone. I am so happy to be here. I'm going to just quickly share my screen and presentation with you so that we can pretty much just understand what I'm saying and importantly, why everybody here needs to know this. In fact, the more you know this, the easier it will be for you to appreciate insurance, what Sekina was speaking about, is everything financial services are all intertwined. So it's really important that you understand these things step by step. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share a tool that will aid everyone that lives in this country to access finance easier. Okay, so I'm just going to go page by page and hopefully you get it. The first thing is that as long as you live in this country and you have a bank account, you have a credit file. Whether you use it or not, you have one. Now, every time you make a payment late on your credit file, it impacts you. And what this means is if you pay water, something as simple as a water bill, and the bill says, this is due for payment on the 15th. And you say, okay, when I have time, I will go and pay it. I will go to the post office or I'll call them when I have time. I have time next week on the 22nd or 23rd. How much do I owe you? I will pay now. If you pay that bill after the required date. What you may not realize is that you've been recorded as a late payment. Have you paid the bill? Yes. But did you pay it when they wanted you to pay it? No, it's recorded as late. And when it's late, no one writes you a letter. It just shows on your file. And I'm going to tell you why this is dangerous. On the right side of my screen, I've also put something about 4 to 6 months late. That's when it gets to a bailiff letter. And then even at the bailiff stage, if you say, Mr. Bailiff, how much is the money? £500. Take, I've paid it, go away. Bailiff will take the money and go away. Or if you pay the water bill late, they will take it and go away. But it's going to show on your credit file 4 months late, 5 months late, or 6 months late. And that affects you more than you realize. I'm going to show you another slide. There is a power in prompt payment. Hence, you get most people offer you direct debit, which is best for them because they get their money quickly, but it's also best for you because when you pay your bills by direct debit, your credit file goes up. Your score goes higher. No one writes you a letter to say this. No one's going to tell you, but it just keeps on improving and improving and improving. And when it improves, I'm going to show you why you want that. You see, I've highlighted something here, right? I've highlighted the word Tiptone, and I've put there, I've circled it there, 1,000. When we look at anyone's cumulative credit file, the highest you can score is 1,000. That means you are just the ideal client. You are absolutely fantastic. You are completely trustworthy. And the more you do this, or the closer you are to 1,000, you're going to start experiencing some very pleasant surprises, which I'm going to show you. Or put it this way, anyone can say, I want to go to my bank to get a mortgage, and then you end up getting it, or you go and you say you want a credit card, you get it, or you say, you know what, I want to buy land in, let me use Lekki or in Abuja, let me borrow money, and you get it from the bank. But if I told you that some people will go to the same bank that you go to, they have one head like you, the same height as you, they'll go to the bank to borrow money, and the bank will say, okay, you can borrow this money. And in fact, this is February 2025. Do not pay back a penny on this, and don't even pay any interest till January 2028. If you didn't hear me, you borrow money in February 2025, all of 2025 to 2026, no interest, no payments. 2027, no interest, no payments. Till you get to 2028, they say now pay. Most people know that if you borrow money like that, you can take it, you can buy land in Lekki, and you can flip it, double your money, pay them back, and have your money. Or take that same money, invest in real estate here in the UK, flip it, take your money out again. But only some people get that access and some don't. And I want to show you why. You see, some people will say, I don't take credit card, I don't borrow. If I cannot afford it, I won't pay for it. It's called a silent account. And when you have a silent account, right, what I've just described to you, the ability to borrow and not pay for 2-3 years will never be given to you because they've not seen enough of your behavior.
I told you that.
If you pay bad, if you pay late, no show. If you don't borrow and pay at all, if you don't pay, you're doing omoluabi, you don't borrow money, it's bad as well. Right? And then one more thing before I go a bit deeper into this is, I said earlier that some people will say, I will pay when I can pay. And then eventually one day they pay it off and say, now I've paid it, leave me alone. Once you have a default on your account, not only will they take your money, but they will leave a mark to say this person paid late and they leave it there for 6 years. So for the next 6 years, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2031, anytime you go to borrow money or you go for a mortgage, they'll either be telling you no, or they'll be giving you a very stupid rate. You'll be like,
Now we know
this bank, they're so wicked. It's because there is a file that says you're a late payer. But you say, but I paid them. That is from your common sense. I've paid them, I owe nobody nothing. Yeah, but you paid late. That late payment cost you more than you realize. I am sure that some people in this room have never, ever seen a financial instrument where they tell you in this country, borrow now and pay back in 2 years' time. Or even some of you, you've not even seen 1 year, yet alone 3 years, but it exists. So this short presentation is to show you how you can get closer towards 1,000 and what to do to stay away from dropping too far below, because that's where the problem lies. You get a drop and your access to finance is limited and it becomes very, very difficult for you. And I don't want anyone in this room, if you didn't know, I want you to know how to get out of it. And if you do know, just to reinforce that there are ways that you can actually make sure this never happens to you. Then the last thing, second to the last thing I wanted to highlight is that if for any unfortunate reason you keep not paying for a long time and you get what we call a CCJ, it means that you can't get credit. You won't get a loan, you won't get a mortgage, and it's going to stay like that for 6 years, even if you pay it off, which is actually the worst type. If you get a second to the worst type, if you get this 6 years, you can't get anything else, right? And that's why I put here, think of a second credit file, because it's possible. You can get a second credit file, and there's a way we teach people how to do this and how to be very smart, because if you're not smart with the financial system, you keep on getting into trouble and you say you don't know why. But there's a way. People that are smart know how to leverage these things. So you want to think about a second credit file. And it's not as simple as, let me go and do this. No, it doesn't work that way. There's a way. I'm going to show you. I'm going to point you towards what you can do. Okay, let me go to the next slide. This is the last slide I want to talk about before I actually go into some meaty stuff. And it's called the CFAS. And CFAS is a fraud protection mark, and it's the worst thing that can happen on your credit file. And I want to give you some very clear examples of this, because I've had a few clients that this has affected. You know, someone says, okay, I want to get a mortgage, and then they say, okay, how much do you earn? I earn this, but I can't explain it because some of it is by my job, some of it I just get cash on hand. And then the bank people says you have to prove this, and this. And then there's always one brother or one sister that knows somebody that says, I know someone that can help you. They'll say, oh no, yeah, someone can help you. How can he help you? This guy or this girl can help you, for example, get another gas bill, another electric bill, another bank statement. Don't worry. He did it for Yabo, he did it for Mr. Bailey, he did it for everybody. Don't worry, he can do it. He can do it. Yeah, are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure? Sure. Yes. He goes to do it. If this is found, meaning if you submit a fake or false document on any application, be it a mortgage or any financial application, and it is found, a CFAS mark will be put against your name. And that means this person is suspected of fraud. Even if you say, it wasn't me, it was Mrs. Bailey that told. No, it's too late. There's no, you can't explain Mrs. Bailey. You can't explain Mrs. Nwachuku. It's too late. Once you have a CFAS, nobody will even borrow you 1p. In fact, it's the worst you can get, because what it is saying is that this person is a 419. It's worse than actually paying late. So you really need to make sure that you don't align yourself with somebody said, and then they go and produce one bill for you, because these things later come to us, and when we see it, we know how helpless it is, except you have a second credit file. Okay, just wanted to highlight that. So this is I wanted to show you something. So it's not as if I'm just speaking. On the left, I'm going to highlight. This is my credit file. I just said, let me just, go to it and screenshot it for you. So you can see my own.
So then
987 out of 1,000.
credit limit
So
10,000
that's
pounds.
The
The
and
amount you
and this is what I get in the mail.
no
Things like this. This is what they send me. Let
1,000
me highlight it. It's on the right. I get this all the time.
available to spend.
Let me make it very bold so everyone can see it.
Okay, they gave him 10,000 pounds.
Just bear with me.
When I look of money without
I want everyone to see and appreciate this. I mean, you can read it anyway, but there it is.
he has used 4,000.
Right? This one says, I just checked my last one. Get 0% interest on balance transfers for up to 29 months. 29 months is 2.5 years. Right? For 2.5 years. That is the latest
His
example I
credit
just
score
checked
is
when I was looking through
987.
my own inbox. Oh, someone
Stable out
asked,
of
what does
1,000.
CFAS mean?
Right.
What does it actually mean? CFAS it's a credit warning. If you put it into Google or something, CFAS, CIFAS, it's just the worst thing can happen. Put it in Google, it will tell you the full meaning of the name. But I don't know, it's credit fraud, something like credit fraud advisory service, something like that, or credit fraud alert service. It just means that there's a fraud case, and this is what and they've put that on the person's name. Okay, so on this last page, this is an example of how my credit looks, and I'm not showing my credit. I'm showing my credit for you to see what I mean, because I don't want you to just say it and then you're like, he said. I want you to see. This is how it looks. And when you get it like this, these are the kind of offers I get. I get them all the time. And I can tell you, all I need to do is, and this is how we compound cash. You take this, you say, okay, borrow the money, and you say, oh yeah, how much is it to buy a house in the UK? The process is 2 months. Oh yeah, put it there. Borrow this money, get the house, fix the house, sell the house, all in this time, and you make the profit, and then you've put it back within the 29 months.
2 years post.
And the same thing applies for Nigeria. Just borrow the money. You've got 29 months. That's 2.5 years. If you can't do business in 2.5 years, then you need to come to another one of my classes. Yeah, but I wanted you to see this. I want you to see so you can see what I'm saying and that it is doable and that we do it. Last but not the least, anyone here, for you, for your friends that might have missed this session, anyone can unlock their financial future. Even if you have problems, you just need to come straight and step by step, that's what we can do. A, to unlock your credit file, and then B, if your credit file is in a complete jam, which it might be, and if it's in a complete jam, there's nothing we can do about it, but we can guide you towards opening a second credit file. And it's not as simple as saying, let me change my, no, it doesn't work that way. It's a bit more complicated, but it can be done, right? And this and the second credit file, for anyone that's interested in my next, because I teach this stuff and I teach into finance, right? Into finance. So you can take a screenshot of this page, and if you want to, I'm doing one of my next courses. That's the link there. You can click on the link and you can join one of those courses, and we can go deeper, not just into how to do your credit file, but how to access finance. So my name is Samson Onibanjo. I'm a venture capitalist and entrepreneurial advisor, and I'm also a certified business mentor and coach. And just for reference purposes, I studied venture capital at Sage Business School, University of Oxford. So that's me. Any questions I will take. If not, please screenshot this page, and you're more than welcome to click on the link and investigate and see if there's anything that we can do. Or if you just want to ask some questions, you can actually send an email to me as well, and then we can see what we can do to help you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Sam. Thank you so much. Please, if you have questions, just raise up your hand. Okay. Sister Augustina, you can unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Banjo.
Good
I
evening.
will first of all say finance is not my forte. I'm weak in it. And the way you've said this is, I think we need this. I need this. Definitely, I need the extra lesson and all that. So I'll definitely be getting in touch with you for other things, really. Probably starting from level 0 to grow into this. I mean, to help. So, but the way you've explained this is there are certain things we don't even know. I didn't know about the second credit file and all that. I know about all the CCJ and all that and how to get your credit score high enough and all that. Oh, we need to learn more. I need to learn more. So let me say myself. So I'll definitely be getting in touch and thank you for this section. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Angela.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Sam. I'm in the same boat as well. So maybe we would have to book a different session, or maybe you can give us a time scale because there's a lot of people who couldn't log in tonight, and I'm sure they would have benefited from what you have to offer and from what the other speakers have said. But definitely, what you have to offer, I'm interested as well, and I'm sure so many people here will be interested as well.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. You know, the last page, if you just screenshot that last page, right? The link there, you can actually just jump on that. If you take a picture of that link, or you just go to the website and you click on it, that course is designed because you can imagine people say this to me again and again. So the best thing to do is listen to people, funnel you into a course. And in that course, some of these things we address because there's nothing new under the sun. It's just that people and finances are very private. Nobody says their finances openly. But by the time you go through the course, you find out that 90% of what you're thinking or asking has been answered. And then the other bit, you can have a one-to-one and we can actually make it happen. So please just screenshot this or take a picture of that link. And it's me. I'm the one that's going to be delivering it. And that's my email as well. If you're not sure, or you can email me at that email address as well. Either way, I'm definitely going to try my best to help you.
Mr. Sam, can you, the link is not clickable. Can you send it to the group chat?
Okay, yes. Yes, I'll put it in there.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Do we have any other question? Because we are done already for the day. Do we have any other question?
May I ask a question, please?
Okay.
Mr. Sam, do you do one-to-one or it has to be a group session?
I do one-to-one.
Is it free?
No way.
See, you didn't mention that.
You know what I'll tell you? Let me encourage everybody here.
Yeah.
There is nothing that's of value that's free.